Coming up next on It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System, it's a Children's Miracle Network hospital focus. Find out how CMN has helped families in this area for now more than 30 years. We'll talk with the Associate Director of CMN. Also, Miss Wisconsin in town, and she has a CMN focus. Find out why. And a bit later, you'll meet the Pretasky family. Their son Cody dealing with diabetes, and CMN has helped out that family personally. Find out more. All next on It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System.
Unless you're from Ethiopia, you won't fully understand this, but you might gather that 9-year-old Abo is excited. Thanks to our eye doctors volunteering with Gundersen Global Partners, he can now see his friends at the new school and a future worth living. It's just one of the ways Gundersen Health System is combining love plus medicine. Learn how you can help at gundersenhealth.org/globalpartners.
Welcome back to It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System. I'm Christopher. Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, Gundersen Health System. The two have been together for now nearly 30 years, and here to talk about that a little bit more in depth is Heather Gilles. She's the Associate Director of the Children's Miracle Network here at Gundersen. Tell us, 30 years, wow, that's kind of a big deal.
It is. 30 years to be in this great community helping kids. Over the years, we've raised over $16 million over these 30 years of helping kids, and we're so excited to keep moving forward and bringing more funds to help these sick kids in our area.
Heather, a lot of people would say, wow, $16 million. Wow, that's a lot of money from this community.
Yeah, and it is. Thanks to help from our national partners. We have 85 national partners that we work with in this great community. The great thing is 100% of it stays local.
And I think that's hard for people to understand.
It is, because it's rare. It's rare to find 100% nothing goes to administrative costs. We're blessed that our foundation kind of picks us up and cares for us and helps us get what we need to make this program happen for Gundersen Health System. So over that time, it's gone to getting that special incubator for those NICU babies. For instance, one of them cost about $60,000. We have purchased all of them in our NICU. To educational programs, so teaching kids about bike safety, teen car control clinic, all of those are programs that we've been involved with. So we look at prevention and also look at what can we do for kids that are sick. And then also patient-specific funding. Half of our funds go to patients directly. So it's hard every year. This last year, for instance, we helped 5,200 people. So to find somebody that hasn't been touched in one way is pretty hard these days. But that's a great thing to say about our community. They step up, they give to us so we can help others.
Heather, I know that there's been parents out there that have had children or had some assistance, if you will, from the Children's Miracle Network. Never expected that they would be getting something, whether that's a meal voucher or their child is using an incubator, and they're not really necessarily aware of the impact that Children's Miracle Network makes on their family.
It is. It's amazing to talk to families, and that's the first thing they say to us is, we never thought this would be us. We never thought it'd be us. We hear about everybody else. And really at the time of need, when you have a kid is sick and you are you're in the moment and you just want your child to be better. If we can be that safety net and be there and help them along the way, whether it's with meal tickets so they eat healthy and stay healthy, or gas money, because we know traveling here all the time, it takes a token on your budget. But if we can alleviate some of that, we all end up being better caretakers and our kids get better faster.
30 years, how is Gundersen and Children's Miracle Network going to celebrate that milestone?
Yeah, so 30 years, we are excited. We hope to do some things throughout the year, so little touch points. One thing that we're starting is a new scholarship fund called the N. Sally Sullivan Scholarship Fund. Say that 5 times, right? But it's wonderful in honor of N. Sally Sullivan, who have been important people in the CMN family. We are honoring them with starting a scholarship fund. This fund will help kids with education. So whether they're having some problems in school and may just need some educational support, or if they're kids that need maybe some music therapy to get them through. Both of that will serve that purpose because of Ed and Sally. So we are getting that launched here shortly, and more people will learn about that. But people can give to that scholarship fund at any time, and then that money will directly go to kids and get them what they need. So we're excited to kick that off, and then obviously we'll have some new heroes coming about here in the next couple months, and we'll just move forward and raise more money.
I know you know Ed and Sally personally, and they have meant so much to CMN. Talk about them.
They are an amazing, when I started here 10 years ago, I got the chance to meet them. They were doing their last Blarney party for those folks that are listening, and I know you've listened to them. And at that point, I think they raised close to $1.4 million for Children's Miracle Network. These two amazing people on TV, on radio, just asking people to donate. And their vision and mission has helped us continue to do the same, but we are honored to help them. They are the most amazing couple. I'm lucky I don't live far from them. I get to see them often. But they still continue to help us. All their memorial gifts that they make in honor of folks come to us. They tell their friends and family. But they truly, really care about this community and care about kids. So this was the right thing to do, and we are so honored, and they are very honored. I'm actually meeting with them soon to talk more about it, but I think it's just a great way to honor a couple that was selfless and just saw the need for us here in this community.
And they did the difficult job, oftentimes, of asking for money from this community, and yet they did it in such a nice way. It's hard to say no to Ed and Sally Sullivan.
It is. They're a great duo, let me tell you, when you put them out there, and everybody, they're friends with everyone, but that's the way they are. They're so giving and so honest, and they care about kids, and they know, I guess when you see a great program, you stick out and invest your time and energy in it, and that's what we have here, and really it's because of them. They see our vision, they know our mission, and they're proud to be part of that. So we're proud to have them as part of our family.
We're talking with Heather Gilles. She's the Associate Director for the Children's Miracle Network at the Gundersen Medical Foundation. Talk, if you would, about some other events that are coming up. A big one, the Emerald Ball.
Yep, so in April we are doing the Emerald Ball, which is a gala for Children's Miracle Network. It's kind of the end point for our current heroes, where they kind of get to share with folks their journey with us and just the importance of why Gundersen Health System is a Children's Miracle Network hospitals. It's really our job to showcase the pediatric services that we offer here, and just that kids are getting help close to home. They're not having to go to another facility because we have the great care here. So our job is to highlight them and the services that Gundersen provided to get these kids back to being kids. And it's a night of celebration, of wonderful dessert auctions, wonderful desserts from some local celebrities. And it's just a great time for everybody to get together and just honor these amazing kids we have.
You mentioned the Gundersen component, and you've also mentioned that 5,200 different individuals have been helped through Children's Miracle Network. And it doesn't matter where they get their care. They apply for funds, and those funds then are made available to patients no matter where you get your care.
Exactly. We are the only hospital out of the 170 hospitals with Children's Miracle Network that has a program like this. So basically, what we care about is getting kids care and getting them help. So wherever they're at, about 20% of our budget actually goes to kids that are not Gundersen Health System patients. So really, for us, that is a service that Gundersen does to the community. It's an important piece of the puzzle to show that, we're taking care of our community and also taking care of our patients.
Heather, we're just about out of time, but I want to give people an opportunity if they want to know more about CMN or they want to donate to the Children's Miracle Network Hospital. How can they do so?
Yeah, so easy way to do it is online. You can go to gundersenhealth.org. You can do the / or / CMN Hospitals. Otherwise, you can call us at 775-4424. We can take and do anything over the phone. But I think the great thing is, you know, a $50 donation, $50 goes right back to the program. So we take very good care of your donation and we put it to work to where it needs to go.
All right, Heather, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Heather Gilles, Associate Director for Children's Miracle Network at the Gundersen Medical Foundation. When we come back, we're going to talk with Miss Wisconsin about her affiliation with the Children's Miracle Network.
As someone with cystic fibrosis, I spend a lot of time at Gundersen Health System. The doctors and nurses have become kind of like family. After a recent stay, I was hoping to go home when my nurse, Angie, told me I'd need to stay another day. Well, I wasn't very happy, and I might have let her know it as she left my room. A few minutes later, in walks someone dressed as a superhero. Mask, cape, boots, the whole deal. I didn't know who it was at first, but when she put her hands on her hips and said, "I heard someone isn't having a very good day," I knew exactly who it was. I've never laughed so hard in my life. Once again, my superhero nurse had saved the day.
Gundersen Health System employs the very best staff in the region, but it's their creative caring that makes them some of the best in the world. We call it Love Plus Medicine. Learn more about Gundersen hospitals, clinics, and specialty services at gundersenhealth.org.
Welcome back to It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System. I'm Christopher. Joining us is Miss Wisconsin, Rosalie Smith. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're here at Gundersen to talk a little bit about the Children's Miracle Network Hospital and the campaign and about CMN in and of itself. And this is something that Miss Wisconsin has supported for a number of years. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, for the Miss America organization as a whole, we work hand in hand with the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So we raise money. Each contestant, unlike many other pageants where they have to raise money, you know, on their own and pay the fee to the pageant for their entry fee, we actually raise money for Children's Miracle Network because we are a nonprofit organization. So with that being said, our mission as title holders, no matter if you're a local, state, or Miss America herself, you are not only the ambassador for whatever it is your platform is, that, you know, your personal mission for the year, but also for the Children's Miracle Network.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what you learned about CMN that surprised you.
I've learned a lot about what we do and what our money goes towards. So a lot about how the money that we raise, it can go towards, you know, helping them even just feed the family members who have sick children, anyone who is here, to be able to help support the family in their time of need, because there's the patient and then there's also the family aspect, and they're suffering just as much. So, and also being able to help pay for treatments, help pay for whatever it is that family and that patient needs.
Don't you think that there's a lot of times when you see a charity out there, you kind of wonder where the money is going?
Yes, and it's really cool to know that everyone in the Miss America organization donates money towards that one special cause.
We're talking with Rosalie Smith. She's Miss Wisconsin 2015.
Yes.
And she started her reign in June, but I think what I was thinking was the Miss America pageant was in September. Mm-hmm. How was that experience?
That was a lot of fun. It was stressful. It was definitely, like everyone says, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because one person, you can only compete on the Miss America stage once in your life. So it was definitely a life-changing experience. I mean, getting up at 5 in the morning every day, having to stay up and on your A game until however late they need you up, until maybe 10, 11, then waking up the next day, right, shining up again, just smiles.
Pretending like you're not tired.
Oh, right, absolutely. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I met a lot of great girls, great women who all aspire to do many different things. I mean, we met people who were training to be lawyers, people who wanted to be doctors, and everything you can possibly imagine. And they all are so intelligent that it's actually inspiring, and it inspires you when you are in there and in that moment, and you learn what all these women are doing with their lives. Inspiring,
I got to think a little bit intimidating too, because you kind of came onto the pageant scene, from what I'm told, kind of late in the game. Like only you won the Miss Wisconsin pageant, and it had only been working on it for 5 months. Is that right?
Absolutely. So actually, I can't remember what month I was crowned as Miss New Berlin, but that was my first local title. I had competed for my first time, and I won right off the bat, which was crazy. And then right after that, you have to go straight to state. And that in itself just freaked me out, to be honest. So I tried my best. I kept working with all the people who, spent their time with me, working on interview and everything possible, that you can work on. And then I ended up winning. And after that, they were like, "You're going to Miss America." And I'm just like, "Are you kidding? Another one? Like, how do you do this? These people are nuts." But it's been such a whirlwind. I've had a blast. I'm grateful for each pageant I've gone through because I've learned a lot about myself through each one, about the confidence I have speaking in front of people. I mean, if you would have asked me a year and a half ago if I could speak in front of 10 people, I probably would have said, "You can do it for me if that's okay." But now and then they send me to Miss America and I speak in front of tens of thousands of people and it didn't bother me at all. So it's just cool to see how much I've grown through this pageant life.
So here we are now in March of 2016. The
Yes.
clock is ticking. What happens for Miss Wisconsin, who eventually will be former Miss Wisconsin? Where to then? What's your plan? You're still very young. Where are you?
Yes.
What's the game plan?
Well, I'll be going back to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as a sophomore, and I will be training to become a nurse. So back to the gen eds, and then I'll be applying for next fall, not this coming fall, but the next one after that for the nursing career. So I'm very excited.
So those of us here at Gundersen may see an application sometime down the line,
Maybe.
right?
I really do love the La Crosse area,
Yeah.
so.
And well, it's been great to have you here too. And
Thank
speaking on
you.
behalf of the Children's Miracle Network too, making a big difference for families and their kids right here in the Cooley region. So.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Miss Rosalie Smith, Miss Wisconsin 2015. Thanks for joining us. And when we come back, you'll meet the Pretasky family. Their son Cody is diabetic. Find out how CMN has helped the family. All next on It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System.
House calls aren't typical anymore. But as a Gundersen cardiologist, I do the next best thing: outreach visits to my patients in rural clinics and hospitals. I love that I can bring care closer to home, especially when they're ill or the weather is not good.
At Gundersen Health System, our doctors go the extra mile, or 60, to provide care for patients. It's the driving force behind love plus medicine. Learn more about Gundersen hospitals and clinics at gundersenhealth.org.
Welcome back to It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System. I'm Chris Stauffer. We're featuring Children's Miracle Network this week, and the reason for that is because CMN makes a big difference for families in this area. And it's also coming up on the 30th anniversary. Joining us to talk about CMN is one of the CMN families, if you will. It's Mark and Kristin Pretasky from La Crosse. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for being here. And you have your 3 kids here, and now they're not mic'd up, but we have Cody, who's 12, and Cody is our star here, I guess. Luke is 10, and he might argue that point a little bit. He might say that he's the star, and Joey certainly feels that he's the star as well. Luke is 10, and Joey is 8. Thanks for being here, you guys. You're here at Gundersen talking about CMN. Why?
Children's Miracle Network, Cody's one of the heroes this year, and they have helped us out in a lot of different ways. Cody has diabetes. He was diagnosed when he was 2.5 years old. When he was 3.5, Children's Miracle Network helped us get his first insulin pump, which changed our life. It made life so much easier and better for us.
Diabetes is kind of a serious thing. People don't think of it as something that's going to happen, though, to a young person. Mark, how did you guys discover that Cody was suffering from diabetes?
Well, he had been sick for quite a while, and through a couple misdiagnoses, or I guess they didn't detect the real problem, and at the end, I basically sent my wife in. I said, "Don't come home without them admitting him or finding out what the problem." And sent him home again, and got a call within the hour and said he's at a terribly high number. Please rush him back. And that's how it started. But he just had some miscues on diagnosing it, so through no one's fault.
Yeah, and again, one of those things where I think a lot of people don't think of diabetes as being something that young people are going to acquire. So what have you learned about diabetes since that initial diagnosis a while ago?
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing that we have to deal with, and it's very, just every day, everything that needs to be done with the sites and watching his intake, and but we're all dealt a hand and have to deal with it. So we don't really look back and wish it wasn't there, because it is, and and my wife is a saint taking care of Cody, and I think she should have been a nurse. So.
Yeah, well, maybe she missed her calling there. But Cody obviously is doing very, very well now.
Cody is doing wonderful. He has to count all of his carbs. He punches it into his insulin pump. Those pumps are amazing because they're just a little tiny computer that he carries with him all the time, and it calculates how much food he eats for how much insulin he needs for every bite that he puts in his mouth. And he now knows how to even change his own sites for his insulin pump, which is it's a good sized needle that you have to change every 3 days. He does all of his own finger pokes. But yeah, he's got to be aware of and counting and checking all the time and just knowing where he is. And he's so much better at knowing that too internally.
And yet, Kristin, he's a 12-year-old boy. He wants to be out there doing stuff and doing the everyday things. How does that work?
And he does. Cody did cross country last year at Longfellow. He does soccer. He did flag football up until last year. He swims, he skis and wakeboards and water skis, and he does everything. We have not, one of his doctors said there's only 2 things that you can't do. You cannot be in the armed forces and can't fly a plane. Those are the only 2 things that he cannot do, and he does not let it hold him back.
And as an older brother, he's got a full-time job keeping his little brothers in check, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe not, I'm not sure. But obviously Cody is here and in our studio as we're recording this and everything, and the boys look like they're doing great, and you have not just the 3 boys, but you have Mark over here too, so you have 4 boys to take care of. What are the challenges at home for you personally to make sure that that Cody is doing well? I know food is an important thing, and I'm sure you and Mark have to kind of adapt everything that you do. You can't just throw out a dish of mac and cheese.
No, you have to know. You know a ton of numbers. It's a numbers game. We know a slice of bread is this many carbs, a half cup of macaroni and cheese, measuring cups. We use those a lot to serve food just because it's easier. It's easier for me to know that we're giving the right amount and that he knows what the carbs are for them. And at the same time, I know there's some families that limit completely, like sugars and fun things and that. But for me, I want Cody to be a normal kid. I mean, who doesn't want to be able to have a birthday cake? And who doesn't want to be able to have birthday treats when somebody brings him into your classroom? And, I don't want to cut all the fun stuff out for him. We just make sure that we punch in the right amount for it so that he can be a kid too.
Yeah. And Mark, I know when it comes to activity, you want him to be able to also do all the things, whether it's even mowing the lawn, for goodness sakes, but you have to keep an eye on that too. Yeah,
exactly. He's a reader, so I actually have to pull him outside to mow the grass. I
don't think that's atypical that you have to pull out a 12-year-old to do some work on the lawn.
But he's a great kid, a smart kid, and reading is his big hobby. But he's still very active in everything else he does. And like I said, my wife has been just great with him to keep him in a good spot. And that's kind of concern is going forward is keeping them between the healthy guidelines, for a long, healthy life, and people that don't watch the numbers and have the highs and the lows, and which can cause problems with eyesight, many problems down the road. So that's a concern, especially when he goes off to college, and but he's good about it now. So we're hoping that he'll stay the line with watching it.
We're talking with Mark and Kristin Pretasky from La Crosse, and their three young men are here in the studio. Cody is 12. He's the young man that we're talking about mainly, and also Luke and Joey. Luke is 10 and Joey is 8. So if you hear some laughter in the background every once in a while, it's the boys, okay? There they were. Kristin, let's talk a little bit, if we can, about Children's Miracle Network. I'm sure you never thought that CMN was going to be something that your family needed.
No, not at all. I don't even know. They've been absolutely wonderful. And actually, Cody, when he was born, was 3 pounds 3 ounces. And I can remember we were up in the NICU with him. I actually was a teacher in Onalaska at the time. I was guidance counselor up there. And so we had really great insurance and everything was covered. But when we were there all the time, and Mark was like, well, they're giving me these food vouchers. I don't know what these are. I don't really get where they're from or what they are. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice, because I was there all the time with him. I just was there all the time. And I'm like, I didn't even understand where they came from exactly or what. I was just like, oh, that's nice. I can go and get myself something to eat in between kangarooing with Cody and having him on my chest and trying to get him healthy and home. But then when he was older, and then he was diagnosed with the diabetes, and then they came and the doctor was like, well, you know, we can get help for you to get this pump for Cody. I'm like, oh, this is the same group that helped us when he was born. And it's like, oh, that's really great. So, you know, they've helped us out along the way, and not like it's this, they just offer it. They offer it and they make it just easier for families.
Yeah, we didn't have to seek them out. You know, they were there for us when we needed them, and that was kind of the neat part. So yeah, it made it easy. A food voucher doesn't sound like a big deal until you're in the hospital with your child for, you know, several days, and that, you know, meal, that small meal in the cafeteria.
Exactly. You didn't have to think about it. In the morning, I just would go straight to the hospital. You know, then by the time noon rolled around, it's like, oh, kind of hungry. What should I? Oh, and then, you know, so it was just nice.
Yeah, didn't even have to remember your wallet, for goodness sakes.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. It was just me getting to the hospital to be with him. And
I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but the incubators are actually purchased by Children's Miracle Network.
Really? Yeah. Well, he was in one of those.
So it kind of comes full circle sometimes, as you said. What advice would you have for other parents out there, maybe keeping an eye on their kids, you know, when it comes to diabetes, or they have a diabetic of their own at home? What advice would you, as parents, give to them? Hang in there?
Yeah, I would say not even diabetes, but whatever the problem is, just, you know, go forward with it. Don't look back on that. You know, it's an anchor around your neck, because, like I said, everybody has to deal with something, and we're better off than most still, you know. So, and sure, it's tough, but it's something we deal with, and people deal with their, you know, whatever their problem is in life. So.
Yeah. How do the boys handle it with their older brother having diabetes?
It doesn't slow them down. They wrestle. They, you know, I mean, they do what normal boys do. It is never, you know what? It's not ever like, it's just part of our life. We don't, you know, and it's interesting because Cody's friends, when he went to school then, and I think he had his first sleepover in 3rd or 4th grade, you know, and I have to make sure who he's going to, you know, I mean, that's a big thing for me, letting him go to do that. But even like the parents of his friends are like, you are so, just kind of make it normal, that we don't think that it's like a big deal and all this, because it's just our life. It's what we have to deal with, and we make it normal.
And sometimes the boys think that it's a benefit because they see Cody having a juice box to get to a right number, or a piece of candy, and they're like, why don't we get it? You know, and so they look at, you know, that end of it sometimes.
Yes, boys are always, I get it. I can completely get it. Well, Mark and Kristin, we're out of time. We really appreciate your time here and sharing your story with not only about Cody, but about your family, for goodness sakes, and also about how CMN has impacted you, and sometimes in maybe just a small way, but in maybe a more meaningful way in the long term. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Again, that's Mark and Kristin Pretasky from La Crosse. They're 3 boys, Cody 12, Luke 10, and Joey 8. And that's going to do it for this edition of It's Personal, brought to you by Gundersen Health System. I'm Chris Stauffer. Thanks for joining us.